Chock says
Chock.
over and over and over, I miss you. I missed you. I missed you. I tell you how much I missed you. He's like the same with guy with the falling in love thing. It's
I
like,
missed you. I missed you. Missed you.
Yeah.
I'm falling.
Did I mention that yet? I missed you. I missed you.
Repetition is key.
Yeah, it's the formula.
Welcome back to another episode of A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Amanda and
Joseph. Yes, we are back with another episode. We are now talking about Final One. Golden Bachelorette. Bachelorette is a weird word to say.
okay, Bachelorette.
Yes.
Bachelorette.
Bachelorette. You can't just quickly say it.
Bachelorette.
I guess you can. I can't. Bachelorette. Bachelorette.
Yeah, you want to say.
Bachelorette.
Yeah, that's what you want to say every single time.
The Golden Bachelorette. Is that? Yeah. Anyway.
The Golden Bachelorette.
Yes.
Fantasy Suites. That's what we're reviewing today.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's technically.
We're not at the final one.
Is that what they call this, I guess? I don't know. I saw
Fantasy
the title
Suites.
was called Final One, so.
Final part one.
Well, final parenthesis.
Part one.
Yes. Why did you just say Fantasy Suites if they.
Fantasy Suites. No, I think that's what they call this time is like the Fantasy Suite time, but it's the final three. But we're nearing the end of the season, so it's the finale part one. So you're right. Yep.
This part is where they go to some sweet, dreamy vacation spot, and they have these magnificent ventures on different activities. One, it's also at like some crazy beach location I've noticed, or that I've observed from the 3 or 4 I've seen. But anyway, so there's a common ground there. But I don't know, they go to some dreamy spot. They have a great day together, and then they can have like a little fantasy suite where they talk over things and have more discussions and I guess some time away from the cameras and really kind of have some good conversations to decide how they really feel about each other.
Yeah, I think the time away from the cameras is crucial in making the connection with each other, because I think a lot of things are like, oh, though we have all the cameras in front of us and like, let's put on a show, but things get real when the cameras turn off.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
And maybe you still have that genuine connection in front of the camera and behind the camera, but you don't know until the camera goes away.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm just on the show to boost myself, market myself for viewers to come to my platform instead. But behind the camera, there's no hiding. There's no shell. You're an exposed turtle with no shell.
Yes. And what was different about these fantasy suites is Joan didn't really even want to have a bed in there because she doesn't want to give the illusion that she's going to be physically intimate with the men, which I thought said a lot. She wants to sit on the couch, she wants to talk for hours, and she wants to get emotionally intimate with them to figure out who's the one until she meets her one.
Yeah, I think that was a very wise decision.
Yes. But I like how she was straightforward and told them, hey, this is strictly going to be about us making an emotional connection, and I will not be getting together with multiple men. So,
yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, I think that's how it should be to begin with. So, yeah, I very much agree with her decision here.
Yes. Introducing raspberry tea. Not introducing, welcoming it back again.
Yeah, we are having our tea for the second time now.
It's really good. Tea is great with the Bachelorette Golden review.
I was going to say only review. We didn't drink any while watching the...
No, we save it for the review time. For the podcast.
You can have multiple cups, though.
No, it's special like this.
I'll make sure to have a cup next time while we're watching it.
Okay. And we'll see if you enjoy your cup during the review session as well.
Oh, well, I'll change the flavor up.
Oh, change it up.
Yeah.
Don't do your slumber tea in case you'll get tired, though.
No, that'll be after. I'll have 3 cups that night.
Wow. Okay. We'll try that next week. Diving right in to this episode. We see a little teaser at the beginning as always, and Joan is crying and she says she started to feel more hopeful and now she feels like her hope is down to nothing, which is just a little preview for what's to come later on in the episode. Our actual heartbreaking moment that we will get to.
Yes, which ended up being the very last part of the episode, but
yes,
they showed first. But yes, anyway,
So anyway,
a foreboding moment.
Yes, that broke our hearts. Let's talk about it. No, we can't talk about it yet. Not yet.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So we see Joan hopping on the plane to go to Tahiti, and it looks like she's riding the plane all by herself.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is this shot where she's on like a, I mean, it wasn't even a private jet. It was, or I don't know. I mean, it was a smaller plane, but I mean, it's probably because not that many people are flying to Tahiti every day.
But it looked like it could fit what? How many people?
Oh, yeah. It was, I don't know, 50.
A decent amount.
50 people
That's
or
what
something.
I was going to say.
So.
And then they didn't show the men on the plane, so did they drive? Did they fly separately?
Yeah, I think so. Because that.
And then Joan took a 50-passenger plane by herself.
I don't think that, but I guess they got some deal where they could take that shot where she was on before everybody else was or something.
So do you think she made the trip with the men?
No.
On the plane?
No, because the whole thing was that
they didn't
when
see
they
her
see
yet.
her
Oh,
and
okay,
Tahiti,
yeah.
it's the first time they've seen her since homecoming.
But they really
or
like
hometown.
Were spendy with the fuel because they could have easily fit the men on there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand this budget they have is pretty insane.
Let's go to Tahiti. Let's take multiple planes for no reason.
Yeah, you can take a plane and I'll take a plane. We
Well,
can
I'll
see
take
each other in Tahiti together.
multiple 50-passenger planes.
Yeah, and I'll get a shot of myself without anyone else first. I'll sneak on in fraudulently, and then I'll get kicked off and won't be able to make it.
That wouldn't be good. You don't want to miss out on Tahiti. So she gets on and she starts drinking some champagne, and she's sitting in the middle of her 50-passenger plane, just enjoying the time. And we see her flying over the water, which is super blue and really beautiful. Tahiti water.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice place. I've never looked deeply into it, but I was familiar with it. But yeah, it's gorgeous.
Tell us where it's located at. I saw you mapping things and doing your research while we were watching.
No, I already knew. I didn't have to research this.
You didn't?
No. You did ask where it was, and I was right, but I did say it was north, or I didn't say exactly, but I said it was somewhere around New Zealand, which
okay,
it's northeast of New Zealand.
So it's somewhere around New Zealand.
I mean, hey, that's
at least
a
that's
spot
something.
on
That's
the
true.
globe.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
true.
there's what 288 countries or something like that. So the fact I picked one and was pretty close to it. So
gold medal for you. That's great.
I know my geography. I mean, it was a little further, but anyway, it's. But I did not know it was part of the French Polynesia, which is a French territory that's
You did learn something.
owned by France. So, yes.
Great.
Yeah. So that was news to me. History, or not history, but just, yeah, I guess
General
history.
lesson.
It's part of the
It is history, yeah.
French territories, if you were not aware.
There's just clips of Joan saying that she is hopeful that this could all end with engagement for her. And then they get there and we see her getting on a very big ship where we find out everybody's sailing in luxury in Tahiti.
Yeah, she's got a private cruise ship, apparently, because nobody else is on this ship while they're getting shots of her.
I think the men must be staying there, though. I think she says we're all staying here.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. They didn't see each other beforehand, but
right.
yeah, I
they
would
have their own
imagine they're
room
all,
on the ship.
right.
But
Yes.
So then we hear Joan say she feels like she's all alone trying to make one of the biggest decisions of her life. And then cue in Nancy from The Golden Bachelor, which we were both puzzled. We're like, Nancy? Because we don't remember her from The Golden Bachelor.
Yeah, no. I mean, I only remember a handful at this point, but no, I don't remember her at all. I'm guessing she got out within like the second or third day or something.
Yeah,
Enough to make friends with Joan, so it wasn't like the first night, but
right. Well, I did say, did she get last place when we were watching this? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up.
yeah. Well, I can't imagine it was the first night because however she makes such good friends with Joan
I know,
to
she's
fly her out to
really
Tahiti
good
as well.
friends. Yeah.
So, I mean, she clearly must have been Joan's bestie on
But Joan
season
didn't
1.
make it very far either. So
Right,
but
yeah. So anyway,
if you know Nancy, let us know how much of her you saw in the season with Gary. So Joan says that Nancy's one of her dearest friends. And she surprised her, came to visit Joan and give her some advice and listen to her. And Joan starts tearing up and she's so happy that Nancy's there. And she starts talking to Nancy about the 3 men that she has left. So she mentions Guy and says, oh, he's an ER doctor and he's looking at retiring now. And he likes to travel. He's handsome. They have fun together, but it's more of a slow burn together. And she feels like Guy might be a little further along in his feelings than she is at this point, which I think is pretty spot on from what we're seeing.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, he really comes out in this. I mean, he already was like pretty strong last episode, but this one he really was coming just guns blazing. And
yeah, well, before this one, she's saying I think his connection is
right. Yes, yeah, but I mean, yeah, as we continue on, we see that, but yeah, I mean, he was already very open. So, but then, yeah, this was kind of weird because then it was like, oh well, maybe he's a little further along than me, and then it's almost like she was like slightly turned off by that, or like unsure about that, like, oh, he's fallen hard or something, and that's not good.
I think it's because she just didn't have like this instant connection with him, and I don't know, maybe she really just doesn't like him that much, but he likes her.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I appreciate the slow burn thing. I thought that was like actually really good to have, but I don't know. I guess she's not big on that. But
well, I think she's just saying it's been taking time for us to like build on our connection and
yeah, right.
that sort of thing. Whereas like her with somebody like Pascal was like a instant connection for her.
Yeah.
On her side, as we learn, just her side. Which, yeah, we'll get into that. So she says that she hopes this week that she can catch up to Guy's feelings, which is interesting. So then she goes on about Pascal and she says he likes to live big. He reminds me of my late husband, John. And he's full of life. He's full of confidence, swagger. She says she has strong feelings about him, but he's the most guarded.
Yeah, I mean, he's really, hasn't come out yet and is still unsure about things. And so, but she definitely has something for him.
And then she talks about Chock, and she says that he makes her feel safe. He's sexy. He's a good kisser. There's a part of her that thinks Chock is just too good to be true, which I think she's throwing this in there just to like say something crazy about him because it's too obvious that she's already in love with him and going to pick him. Nancy then asks Joan if there's any red flags, and she says, no, not with any of the men, just with me, because I'm guarding my heart and I'm trying so hard to open up.
Yeah, that was a very political answer.
She'll always love John, but she has feelings for other men now. And Nancy also lost her husband and can relate to Joan, which was nice. And she says that her hope for Joan is for her to find happiness. And she really hopes that she will put herself first instead of everybody else, because she's always used to caring for everybody else and then shoving her feelings aside. So just putting her own thoughts and needs first for once is Nancy's wish.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was very nice as a friend. And we will see how that plays out.
So it's time for Joan's date with Guy. And Guy is really looking forward to it. He says he's falling in love with her. And it's time for Joan to play catch up to Guy's feelings.
She doesn't really say much, but she mentions later on that she didn't want to say I love you to any of them until the finale when she picked a person. So, I mean, she still seems quite protective and reserved during this whole date. I mean, Guy is really coming out, just like, I'm falling for you, over and over and over. And then she's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I don't know. Her body expression was not very warming when he
I
would
don't think she likes Guy.
say that.
Because it's totally different when she's sitting with Chock.
Yeah, it was a little, I don't know. It didn't seem as natural, I guess, or
I think
unforced.
She's made her decision about Chock, and now it's all uncomfortable because she almost feels like she's cheating on Chock at this point or something.
I don't know about that much, but I mean, maybe just like that. Right, she's still got to do the show, but she's already had her.
She already found her match. But
Well,
she has to do the show.
I think it was, but she's debating between Pascal or Chock at this point. Pock.
Pock and Pascal.
Pock and Chascal.
Chascal.
But
Pock and Chascal. Yeah, I think so. I think she had deeper connections with those two men. So then just being with Guy, it's like, oh no, like he's so nice, but I just don't have that spark with him.
there could be some weird thing where maybe she does have. I don't know. I mean, she probably has something, but because I mean, it's definitely more than Jordan. I mean, she would have put him through if there was something more. So
Yeah.
I mean, she does have something, but yeah, I don't think it was as much as that. But
I think it's still the slower connection thing with Guy. Maybe that has something to do with it too.
yeah,
She definitely looked more comfortable towards the end of their date
yeah, right, yeah. By dinner time.
by dinner time. But when they first get together, they're having champagne, and Guy says that his sisters and his kids just adored Joan. He can really see her being a part of the family, and he looks very into it. He says to Joan he's very aligned. He wants to share retirement and family together. And like you said, I'm falling for you over and over again. So he really is. He's falling.
He was really falling over his words.
Kept repeating it over and over again. But then they go snorkeling and see a lot of cool sea creatures.
Sea creatures.
They see stingrays.
Yeah,
and
oh, yes, good. Well, actually,
what?
actually, no, yeah, they're stingrays.
Man Ray from SpongeBob.
I was thinking of manta rays, but
No, you're thinking of Man Ray from SpongeBob.
well, no, there are manta rays.
I know.
but yes, man ray as well. But no, I was thinking of manta rays. But manta rays are like they're massive. They're huge compared to stingrays. Well, manta ray. I mean, I
Did
don't
you see
think
the sharks?
yes, I did. I watched the television screen.
No.
I saw sharks.
Okay, well, why'd you laugh at multiple sea creatures? There were multiple sea creatures, so
Yeah,
thank
I
you
know.
and come again. Thank you.
It was just an interesting choice of words.
Thank
yes,
you.
lots of sea creatures.
Name more sea creatures you saw.
I actually really don't. I only remember those two.
The shark and the stingray.
Yeah,
I think there were fish.
probably.
I'm assuming. I didn't really see
What
them.
is a group of fish called?
A flock,
No.
a school.
Yes.
Learned that from Finding Nemo.
Wow. Yes, good.
Joan says that Guy would be a good life partner, and this has made things a lot harder. But it sounds really cheesy, like she doesn't mean it. So
Yeah, I mean, just fast forward a little bit into the whole well, this is still about the snorkeling, but we see as they're snorkeling that all of a sudden Chock appears out of nowhere, and he's
yeah, what is up with this transition?
he's talking to Jesse, and then he's just talking about how what a great connection they have, and but he's really nervous about the other guys because he doesn't know where they are with their connections, and I don't know, I thought this was very weird because then it's just like him voicing over while they're snorkeling.
But maybe there just wasn't enough filler. So then they cut to Chock and created some drama. And
Well, I guess that's actually, I didn't think about that. But well, actually, no, I take it back. I was thinking, well, obviously they're snorkeling, but they could do an interview afterward and say, well, what was it like, And they could have that being voiced over while they're like, why is it Chock all of a sudden when it's Guy and Joan on the date? Why didn't they have Joan and
I don't know. That was really
Guy
odd.
having voiceovers about the snorkeling experience or something versus Chock randomly talking about his fear of
I think
these
it's
other
because
guys.
they didn't have anything or something. And then they also wanted to build up the mystery that Joan isn't picking Chock at the end of this thing. So it's like, ooh, let's throw in Chock in there so he can say how scared he is of Guy and Pascal possibly having something to offer Joan and her possibly making a connection with them, which it didn't really sound like he was all that scared. He was just like, yeah, those two, they're great guys. And, what if they do have things in common with Joan on their date? Uh-oh, I hope that doesn't go too well for them.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was weird, but
yeah, all of a sudden we cut to Chock and he says to Jesse, I'm in love with her. I'm heavily invested and it's so scary I'm this invested. I think Guy and Pascal bring a lot to the table, but I'm not sure they're right for Joan. And he's nervous about them in fantasy suites. And this will either end in engagement for Chock or end with him heartbroken. He's very, very much all in here. And then we go back to Guy after this whole interview. So
yeah, I thought this layout was strange.
You're right. It definitely didn't make too much sense.
But yeah, so then this whole spiel ends, and then we move on to Guy and Joan having dinner on a cabana.
At the Copa.
Don't want to get copyrighted.
Copa Cabana.
But they have a meal here and
At the
flannel.
Flannel? What is that?
I'm saying something so that the song doesn't get recognized in the algorithm.
That was really random.
Yes.
Copacabana. Okay. Yes. So they he's really mad. They're having dinner and they make a toast to potential commitments in the future.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and then we get more with dinner and Guy more constantly he's saying he's falling for her.
Well, they're reminiscing on the day that they had, and then there's an interview with Joan, and she says, now Guy is as strong as the other connections that she has. Now.
Yeah.
It just took snorkeling with some stingrays for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, he mentioned it was like one of the best days he's had in a long time or even ever. Did she? I can't remember. I don't think. Did she mention that as well?
No.
I think it was just him. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe something happened off camera that really confirmed things for her with him or something. I mean, she at least knows, I guess, with him, since she said herself, he's the one that seems further along. It's more about her decision whether to move on versus the other way around, where she's further along and she's unsure where he's at. But
yeah. Well, I really think that Guy feels for Joan as Joan feels for Pascal. But
yeah,
it's this horrible thing where Joan doesn't feel as strongly for Guy, doesn't feel that major spark, and then Pascal doesn't feel as strongly for Joan and doesn't feel the spark. So none of it's working out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they did grow a little bit deeper in their connection. Maybe Guy has a chance. 1%.
Yeah.
1% chance.
I'd say it's a little bit more than that.
2?
but 27.
You're doing it over a quarter? Wow. It's way stronger than
Yeah.
I expected you to say.
I don't know. I think there's maybe something there that really didn't show on camera, but I mean, why else would she have chosen to bring him to the end?
Because he keeps saying, I'm falling in love with you.
Yeah.
As you have said before.
She's just stringing him along. He's like a little puppet.
I mean, that
Tell
would
me
be
how you
terrible.
feel about me. Oh, great,
No,
great.
I mean, I think it would be like Mark, right? Where she would just let him go.
Yeah, right.
She told Mark, I don't feel a connection with you. I think it would be like that. So she must feel something for him. I do think you're right on that.
Yeah.
So maybe your percentage is more accurate than the 1 or 2%
Yeah.
I had. Joan talks to Guy about the fantasy suite coming up, and Guy respects her decision to not have it focused on anything physical or anything like that, which was really nice. All the men, the way they responded to this was very classy, and I liked it very much. But he says emotional intimacy is very important to him, and then they read the note from Jesse saying that, hey, you guys can go in a bungalow and have additional time together. And he accepts, which he's really excited about.
Yeah, and they have a conversation, and we pan to the next morning.
Wait. No. So then in the note, there's a key to the overwater bungalow. What'd you think about the setup? I thought it was really pretty. Like on the water, you're walking into this.
Well, yeah,
place.
these are these sweet deals that you could get, at any of these fancy island resorts where you could get the
And then they woke up.
bungalow, and it's usually where they have like a floor with a glass floor or something, so that you can see the water underneath of you and you
Yeah.
stay out there. But yeah, I mean, it's nice.
And then the door shuts at night.
And then it's morning.
And then Guy says he feels great this morning. He had such great intimacy on an emotional level with Joan, and he's falling in love with her. The end.
Yeah, and then that's
It's
the
his
end
whole
of
day.
Guy's experience.
Yep.
And then he was no more.
He was no. And now we're going on to Chock's date.
Yes, so now we have Chock, who's finally able to get his date, and he is going into the jungles of Tahiti to find Joan. And they see each other for the first time after, what was interesting is they actually said like 10 to 11 days. So I guess actually
What?
over a week has passed at this point. Yes, since hometowns.
10 to 11 days?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, you think they'd shoot it faster, but I don't know. Maybe something happened, or maybe they just couldn't. I don't know. But yeah, I think he mentioned that, which I thought was kind of interesting that they had that. But
Wow.
since it kind of gave some timeline insight to things, but
So this is where we see them greet each other, and Joan says she has strong feelings for him and she missed him so much. And the way that they embrace each other when they first meet up, it's like you can just see their connection and how much they both have love for each other.
yeah, and then, well, yeah, it was a nice connection. I mean, you see, Chock says
Chock.
over and over and over, I miss you. I missed you. I missed you. I tell you how much I missed you. He's like the same with Guy with the falling in love thing. It's
I
like,
missed you. I missed you. Missed you.
Yeah.
I'm falling.
Did I mention that yet? I missed you. I missed you.
Repetition is key.
Yeah, it's the formula.
Repetition. Yep.
So they take a ATV out onto the jungles. I mean, it's a created pathway already, so it's not like they're trekking into unknown territory. But they take a route on the ATVs. They drive around. I guess in the beginning he was kind of going pretty slow, maybe trying to be considerate of her, but she was like, "No, you can tear it up, have fun, go as fast as you want. Which I thought would be fun, but
that did look a lot of fun.
Yeah, which I also have to say was nice on his part. He kept one hand with her and one hand on the wheel the whole time.
Oh,
so that was pretty good. But
yeah, and Joan says she's usually very careful about things, and she'd probably just want to go slow and make sure she has like a calculated route where she's going. But she felt great just letting it all go and being with Chock and going fast and doing silly things. So
yeah.
She trusts Chock and he makes her feel safe. And she feels wanted, loved, and cherished by Chock, she says. And she says it's fun to picture a life with him. And then she just looks so comfortable around him, not like tense or reserved, kind of like what we saw with Guy in some scenes. Just very natural flowing when she's with him.
It looked better in this setting and more natural. But yeah, they drive through. They then stop on the side of the path for a nice view of looks to be probably a volcano of some sort. Maybe it's just a height or a cliff of a mountain, but anyway, nonetheless, it's a very scenic view, and they pop a bottle of champagne, which, man, they really have a lot of champagne on this thing. They're constantly...
It's like everywhere you have champagne.
And they're always catching the popping of the bottle. Which I have to say, the cork, man, like really flew off on that one. But
we should rate all the times they've like popped the bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
The cork like really got some major air.
Yeah, that one was pretty impressive. But
so Chock starts kissing Joan, and these kisses seem a little bit more meaningful than the ones she's had with Guy, which are very short.
Joan's date with Guy, she mentioned there's something, I guess, I don't know, he was leaning in or something, or maybe he asked, and just the way the camera edit was, but she said, you can kiss me here.
Yeah, what was that about? She's like, you can kiss me this time or something. You can kiss me.
Yeah,
now.
I don't know if he asked or if he was just leaning in a little bit or something, and then so I don't know, maybe I guess it's probably nice that maybe Chock's a little more forward with it. Maybe she's tired of the asking for stuff now.
So Chock asks Joan her thoughts, and she says she's ready to take a leap of faith. And then Chock talks about the other two guys a little bit. He's starting to get just a little tad bit nervous about them and starts to bring them up in conversation. Like, I don't know who you're going to pick at the end of this, but I really hope it's me and we could continue our forever together.
Yeah, it was a little strange because, I don't know, I mean, Chock mentions how confident he is in everything, but then he does keep talking about he's not sure where the other guys are level-wise, so I don't know, kind of getting mixed signals in that regard, but
I guess he just doesn't know really much about their connections, but
yeah. I mean,
but you're saying if he had complete confidence in himself, he just shouldn't care.
Yeah, I mean, neither of the other guys mentioned anything about the other people, so I just don't understand why.
It's because he really cares about her. He wants to be the only one, and he knows he's not the only one. I think that's just driving him crazy at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, you just need to be focused on, which I mean he is. But.
Which I think he is, but it was just one fleeting comment. He didn't stay harped on that or anything. He just mentioned, I know you have two other guys.
Yeah.
So Chock says that their closeness is worth taking to the next level. He's never had any doubts about their relationship. And from day one, he knew that they were a great couple. And then Joan says she knew when they first saw each other at Disneyland and went on that date. From then on, their bond felt to her like they've already known each other for a year at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it has been strong the entire season.
And he says Joan is the best thing that's ever happened to him. So he's just laying it all out there, all of his feelings out there.
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of the kind of same, which I mean, yeah, you need to at this point. But I mean, it is like, it does seem now all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but it is like really between him and Guy, they really are laying everything out there. So
Yes. So Joan has the same conversation with Chuck about the intimacy part, and Chuck says he's perfectly okay with this. And he says hopefully tonight is the first overnight of 10,000 more that he gets to spend with Joan in the future. And he says he wants forever with Joan. He wants to share grandkids with Joan and have fun with that and just have adventures with her forever. So then they go off into their fantasy suite.
yeah, and then it's morning the next day.
And then Chock is journaling.
Yes, about what we don't know.
But he says they had a great evening. And then the producer goes, "What did you guys do in there?" Which I thought was weird. They kept that part in. And then Chock says, "That's between me and Joan." But it was everything Chock expected or more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Which, what is that alluding to? That's not alluding to like anything.
No, it's just the producers are just trying to dig, and I mean, since it's not allowed in there, that's like just they're just, I don't know how they're sleeping that night because they know they're missing so much content. So,
but he says, "Oh, that's just between us."
yeah, I mean, that's them just trying to dig to get anything out.
But what'd you think about Chock's response?
That was absolutely what you should say.
Yeah. And now it's time for our man Pascal's date. Well, first this starts out with Jesse meeting with Pascal. Jesse asks him about the walls he has built up around him, and Pascal talks about how he was in love with a woman a year ago and they were engaged, and then they broke up and got back together multiple times, and it sounds like he wants to move on, but he's still hurting from that.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of some interesting news that was only a year ago and they were having this back and forth thing. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it did shed some light on some stuff, but
Pascal says his children want him to move on from his previous relationship and find happiness, and they don't want him to be alone. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it seems that they were really pushing this pretty hard, or definitely a lot more than maybe he was even ready to do so. But
yeah, I mean, his daughter signing him up for the show sounds like she thought, hey, maybe if I like put him into this situation, then he will be able to move on and find happiness. But it still sounds like he's a little bit heartbroken over his past.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Pascal says this date he's going on is extremely important to see where he's going to end up and where this relationship with Joan is going. So their date starts out at a Tahitian welcome ceremony. And there's Tahitians that have prepared different foods for them to eat. And they all speak French. And Pascal is excited about this. He's like, my people.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. I mean, he was excited. I thought he'd be excited. I mean, he was very wrapped up in the French. I almost thought there was going to be something where, like, Joan was like, man, he's more wrapped up in the talking to the people than he is paying attention to me or something like that. But it wasn't like, I don't know. It was a very strange activity to do. Like, Guy got to ride on a boat, which they rode on a boat in hometowns, but they did this fun snorkeling adventure. Chock did this exciting ATV through the woods. Like, they did very fun stuff, and then Pascal gets stuck with this ceremonial thing that's like very formal, and it's not laid back, and they can't really talk to each other.
She designed it that way on purpose because it was more like intimate than the other. Well, I don't know. I guess it was intimate in the fact that the last thing they did was the water ceremony where they both kind of released their fears together.
I figured with the whole binding thing, that thought maybe that would help him break down his walls, but I think he was quite spooked out by it. But it was a very, I don't know, it was just very, the mood was very different. I mean, you had these fun, light activities that the other two guys had, and then you had this very serious, formal.
Well, Pascal was really mad about that. Which we'll get into that. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But when they start making the food and everything, he says, I feel at home, my people. And he starts talking French, which I thought was funny.
Yeah. I think it would have been fine if they had just left it at that part where they did like the little welcome and then they did the
That's
food.
what I thought they were
and
going
then if they
to
did
do.
something new and fun, like then they went, hiking through the mountains or something. Like I thought that would, would have been nice.
That's what I totally thought was going to happen. And then when it went into like more ceremonial things and like really serious stuff, I was like, wow, yeah, that totally wasn't anything like the other dates or anything I expected to happen.
Yeah, I mean it was, well, I think some of it too was because I know a lot of the one-on-one dates she did throughout the season was very with the other guy. Well, I guess that's not really the case, but I don't know. I don't know if she was looking for something a little more serious since most of their other stuff was always fun, but
maybe that was the point of it. And I mean, I think it really said something about him that he was so spooked out by this and hated it. He said he wasn't expecting to talk about his emotions today with Joan. He thought they would be doing something fun, which,
well,
good point.
I don't think he meant until that night, I think, probably. But
he wanted to casually sit and laugh with Joan, and instead he got this.
Well, especially too, it's like you haven't seen her for 10 to 11 days at this point, and then you have to do this weird. But then it was, I don't know, it was almost like two, because it was like a ceremony of where it's, this binding ceremony where you're, combining the two of them together or whatever.
So it's basically like Pascal getting married to Joan, and he was like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, well, especially too, because it's like you still have these two other guys that you're going to pick. So you may not even pick him, and then you're going to do this weird ceremony together where you were still debating on who you're going to be with. So I don't know. The whole thing was very.
But
so I understand why he was
sure,
put
but
off by it.
Also it does say something about where he was in this phase of events, because if you could picture Chock at that ceremony, he would go through with the whole thing. He wouldn't have a peep to say about like, oh, I'm so mad that I was doing this. Like I hated doing like, I don't think Chock would have reacted that way. I think Pascal is not ready to be emotional about things or talk about things. Totally reacted like that, but
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I understand it a little bit, but
I don't know. I think that was just strange that they got Chock and Guy got this fun activity in Tahiti, and then they had this very formal thing that they.
Yeah.
I don't know, too, if that was the whole day. I mean, because it's like, they have the whole day together. So it's like, what? I mean, 6 hours? And so 6 hours of that, like, ceremony stuff the entire time? Or trying the food and then doing that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see that being like an hour-long thing, sure, and then you go do something fun, but.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, doing that the whole day sounds pretty boring.
Well, Pascal said he was totally freaked out by it.
I think it would be nice to have like an exposure to it, but then you get to do something else.
Yeah. Well, he was totally freaked out, didn't expect to talk about his emotions all day, doesn't want to talk about it right now. And then we go into dinner. And he says, going into this dinner, I plan to be very honest with Joan about where I'm at. And then my heart sank because I was like, oh no, he's going to ruin everything here.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look good, especially when he was already kind of having the talking head and saying how he wasn't expecting this as the activity, and he was really put off by it. So, yeah, really didn't look positive going into the dinner.
Nope. And Joan asks Pascal what he thought of today, and he says he basically opens up about his past relationship to Joan, talks all about that with her, just like he did with Jesse. And he says, my daughter signed me up for this show, and when I first got here, I didn't think I would make it that far, just looking at all the other wonderful men that were around. So, like, to me, this seemed like Pascal like really truly had no idea he'd be in like the top 3 here. He's like, why me? I think he says to Joan, well, why'd you pick me?
Yeah, which then because I almost then was thinking, well, then why did you even stay this long? If you really didn't think you were gonna make it this far.
I think he like thought, okay, I'll give it a try. My daughter really wants me to do this. And then it like all of a sudden he just like whipped his head around and he was in the final 3. He's like, what the heck happened? Before it was like a bro thing. He was hanging out with his guys, his friends, and
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he mentioned, I think he probably did have a great time hanging out with everyone. But yeah, I guess I don't know. At least by hometown, I think if you make it by hometown, it's getting pretty serious at that point. Sure, if you made it to even the last round before hometowns or something, yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he thought maybe he didn't because he mentioned like he wanted the sparks flying moment, and maybe he thought that would happen at Tahiti or something, or if he just stayed a little longer, was just waiting for it or something.
well,
And then,
wouldn't you have thought that it would have happened at hometowns?
I mean, yeah, I would think it would already be sooner by now. But if you haven't had it yet, I don't know. But then at the same time, then if you're waiting for it to happen when you're at like the perfect place in somewhere that's a very dreamy place, and you're already hyped up on dopamine for the area you're at, and it's a very honeymoony spot, right? I mean,
Well, that didn't help him at all here.
oh, well, exactly, which I think is really what put the nail in the coffin for him. But waiting for your sparks moment to fly, I think in a setting like that isn't good either, because then your daily life isn't just going to be, I don't know, maybe it could have been with him, but you're not going to be spending every day in Tahiti. So,
Well, did you think he didn't have a spark for her before this?
I don't think so. I think there's a little bit, I guess. I mean, he had fun, but I don't know. Maybe it was more of just like a fun hangout friend.
I think the spark maybe was like all on Joan's side now. I don't know. The way he reacted was so strange. He says, today I got scared. He's like telling Joan this. And he says he's having a difficult time letting go of his past. He cares a lot for Joan. He doesn't want to hurt her, but he doesn't think he can get to the place that Joan needs him to get to.
Well, it wasn't, but it was even, which, Joan asked, well, is it just because you need more time, or is it not even all the time in the world is going to make the difference?
And then he says, I care about you as a friend, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah, which
that is
like
a
never
stinger.
Never
that
gonna
hurts.
Because it almost was like Joan would have potentially been willing to wait to give him that time,
Right.
even
like,
after the show. She could have
right.
picked him, and then they could have slowly did things. But then,
and he was like, nope, not a shot.
yeah,
It's
like
never going to
completely
work
shot that.
because
Which,
I don't like you.
I get
as
it. I mean, no point in stringing her along, but
I don't like you as a fiance or a
Yeah.
romantic connection.
right.
This to me is like, let's just be friends. That's it. I don't have any feelings
Yeah,
for you in that way.
yeah.
Which at least he's being honest with her.
But it's weird that it made it this far like that. So.
But this far in the top 3, you don't have any feelings for
Yeah.
Joan, romantic wise. So
Yeah.
he says, I just need a spark and I just don't have it with you. And he thought he could move forward, but his heart's just not ready to. He's not there. And then Joan gets teary-eyed. She really, really cared for him. And she's like, well, this didn't end how I thought it would. And then that's when Pascal walks her out of dinner. And they walk away from a completely uneaten plate. And no one drank anything as well.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that his plate was completely untouched. So they just wasted 2 meals there. Man, that was crazy. But yeah, so which I wonder too how long they were talking before the food came out or something. But because of the fact that nothing was even like consumed.
Yeah, I think it was like as soon as they sat down, Pascal's like, "Hey, what'd you think about today?" Well, this is what I thought about today. Like he just had to like blurt it out, like hurry up and let her know.
Yeah.
I need to get out of this situation. I think he was so freaked out that he had to say it as soon as possible. He really got freaked out. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. I'm not in love with her. I have to tell her right away."
Yeah, he really was kind of spooked by things.
I think he must have felt bad about like all the ceremonial stuff. And he's like, this is getting way too serious. And she has like the completely wrong impression of.
Well, I almost
Liz.
think there almost could have been a slight miscommunication with that, because I don't think she even meant it so much from like a ceremony of like, I'm professing my love to you by this ceremony. I think it was more purely of like a hoping to just break down your barriers more, but he really took it. I think they took it in two different ways, which I think is really what didn't go well with it. But
Well, I think Pascal's just like so focused on, oh my gosh, I'm not really that into her, that like anything that even resembled something of a ceremony or like a wedding or something, he was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
I mean, actually, yeah, that's true, because I mean, I think even, I was kind of saying the whole date was not in his favor, but I think actually at the end of the day, I mean, since he's coming out saying all this where he doesn't even have interest for her, I don't think it probably would have even mattered. I don't know. Maybe it would have been different, but I mean, he said he was hoping to just have a fun, relaxing day and then probably have the serious stuff at night. But
Yeah, do you
I
think
don't
he still would have had the night go like that if they had a normal date?
I mean, based on that, it sounds like he just didn't have.
I think he just got like pushed into saying that as soon as possible. He was like kind of mulling it over, and then it like made him like go really fast.
Yeah, because I mean, with how quickly he went into that, I almost think maybe he really just didn't. Maybe the date really wasn't the ultimate factor. Like this was already just kind of in the back of his head going into this.
Yeah.
I mean, you did kind of see it too. Like I think you ended like the introduction, like when they first saw each other at the beginning of their date. He didn't really seem like overly whelmingly excited.
He's like,
that,
oh, hi.
yeah, to see her. So
Yeah, that's true. So Pascal walks her out from the dinner. He feels terrible. They're talking to each other, and they both tell each other they love each other.
this was like the most bizarre thing to me, especially because Joan was like, I don't want to say I love you to anyone until I pick my person. But then I don't know, they're saying a whole bunch. Oh, he's like,
I think
I'll
that was
always
the
be
goodbye.
there. We'll be friends.
That was the goodbye. I love you.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That's- doesn't have
But
to
it
go
almost
with-
turned into like just like a friendship, like I love you thing or whatever.
Right.
But
It's friendship.
yeah, but I don't know. It was still very strange to just.
She was like, I love you. He
All
goes,
of a
yes, and
sudden-
I love you too.
Yeah. It was. I don't know. I just found it a little weird.
Well, that was
but-
the last thing they said to each other. I think because he cares about her as a friend and it's a loving.
Yeah, but
thing,
why do you need to? I don't know. What was the point of saying?
I don't know.
I love you. I don't know. Well, especially because you were just talking about like having a romantic connection. Now it's not. But then it's like, oh, the I love you comes because.
Well, did Pascal
just-
just say it because Joan said it first and he was being nice?
I think possibly. I don't know.
Because
I mean,
Joan,
I think he cares for her. It's not
Yeah.
that he's just totally done with her. But I mean, the love thing, I don't know about that. I mean, I would probably say he did it at that point because it was just he was just trying to. I mean, he already ripped the Band-Aid off, so there's really no need to be any more.
I mean, he
brutal.
let her have it. Like, you are just a friend.
Yeah.
No spark at
But
all.
But I
mean,
think
he didn't
it's
let her
good.
have it like
Yeah.
mean, but it was just like
Well, it's good, right? I mean,
really straightforward.
it's good. It's good closure. He's
But
not,
it's good, clear communication,
Right.
right? Like, there's no like wondering, oh, like maybe he did care,
Yeah,
like
he's
for
not
me
tiptoeing
romantically.
around
No,
it. He's making a statement, which is good. I think you should in that scenario. I mean, there's no
that'll help
don't-
the person heal a little bit faster
Yeah.
too, like knowing there wasn't a chance
Yeah,
there.
right.
So, so then we cut to interviews with Joan, and she says she's used to pushing her feelings aside, but now she feels everything from this. she said she's very hurt and he knew how to love. And basically, he's saying he didn't find love with her, which she's taking to mean that she's not a lovable person.
Yeah. I mean, I guess everyone's got their own thoughts, but
Which
for how they
that's
deal
really
with this.
sad.
Yeah. I mean, it is that, but I mean,
But she said she feels like a failure, and now her hope is down to nothing after that.
which I mean that I don't agree with, because if it's not the right person, it's not the right person. I mean, I don't think you need to. It's not your actions that.
Well, if you
made
care
it
for
not
somebody
work.
and then you get rejected, that has to be a terrible.
Well, sure,
feeling.
yes, the rejection of it's terrible, but needing or feeling that if I could have done something different to do it, I don't think that would have mattered. I mean,
Yeah.
you did. I mean, nothing else is gonna change the way
Right.
he feels about it. So, and I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean, this is your show. You've got two other guys to choose from. I mean,
But
move on.
I can't believe you're saying this after last week. You're like, yes, Pascal for the win. And then it's like, move on. Just move on. Joan.
No, I mean, he was still my favorite and my top pick. I mean, it's a shame this happened. I thought he would open up, but well, I don't know. I mean, going in that day, but yeah, I don't know. He didn't. But no, I mean, I don't know. Well, it's almost too. It's like right. It's. I mean, you're right. It's the guys fighting for her, but there is the risk too that you have a connection with someone and then it doesn't actually pan out on her. I mean, she almost has as much of a chance of that happening as all the guys.
Right. I mean, it's not like every guy is like head over heels going to be absolutely in love with you.
Right. It's not a one-way street.
Right. It's two-way street, and you have to have connections on both sides. But sometimes I feel like the show kind of gears towards, oh yeah, everyone's just pining over like the main character of the show. But
Yeah.
how do you know if you have a connection with somebody until you meet them in person?
Right.
So
Yeah.
and then sometimes people sign up for the show and they don't even know who the person is, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I think a lot of it sometimes is. Well, like I said, I mean, this show's been around for so long now. I think for some people, it's more of a marketing deal than a romantic deal.
Well, that shouldn't be the case if you're doing this, but I'm sure with this crowd, it's a little bit more genuine.
I don't think
but
it is with the Golden Badge because, I mean, all these.
I wonder
guys
if they
were-
knew about Joan. I think they did, right?
I'm sure these people, they probably asked them, did you watch season 1? Are you familiar with how the show works?
Yeah, but did they cast who the Golden Bachelorette was when these people were signing up? Like, was it readily publicly available? Hey, Joan is the
I would
Golden
imagine
Bachelorette.
so. I can't imagine they would
I
just
don't know, I
say,
feel like
"Hey, you just want to be on the show, but you don't know who it is." Because I would think at that point, I don't know if I don't know who it is, I come to the show and then I immediately have no interest.
Well, I feel like I've seen clips before of people saying like, "Oh yeah," and after I signed up, I found out it was you, and I was really happy about it. I don't know. I feel like I've heard somebody say that before.
I mean, you would know more than I would. But
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I don't know.
Maybe you're right.
I don't know how they would be like, "Hey, it's a mystery. You want to come on the show, but we're not gonna tell you."
Why
who
you're
it is."
saying like if they came in and then the person was like not their type at all when they saw it.
Right? Like I
spoke
feel
to
like they
them?
would want people who already know.
Well,
at
how do you
least-
think they cast for Gary's season? Because no one knew who he was.
I guess that was maybe they gave him a picture and like a little bit of a background about
Description
him
or something.
maybe, or maybe they even had maybe he had like a video, like a little, "Hey, I'm Gary," and like it does all these.
We gotta
little-
look that
little
up.
opening
We
video.
do.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, maybe that one. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine myself like just going on to randomly. I don't know who it is. Take a shot, and then
You wouldn't trust the casting people
no,
to match you up with somebody.
no.
It ends with a sad Joan. On the little preview that they showed, we see there's Joan having doubts She feels unlovable. And the big question is, will Joan find love at the end of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like one snippet where she's like, I could be going home alone, or I may find no one here. Which, I mean, come on. I mean,
Chock would have to like have an emergency event for that to happen.
I really don't understand.
For her to be going home alone.
Right.
Chock would like die before that happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he'll be like, the sparks died this day.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have a day that it'll just totally kill the mood for him. And
Or do you think Joan will say, I'm just not into you?
Yeah. I mean, I would think not, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it looks like Chock's probably the favored pick, but
it's like 99% Chock, 1% Guy
I
going
don't
into
know.
the finale.
I almost think there could maybe be something that comes up that is like an ultimate, like just I don't know, a divider in their
What would have to
connection, but
happen for that to take place?
I don't know. I mean, I think we mentioned this before. I don't remember, but the whole location thing. I mean, I really don't.
Guy is worse than
Yeah,
Chock, so
right. But I don't know. I mean, it's very. I don't know. We'll see. But maybe there'll be. But maybe not. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just a bunch of hype to try to give some illusion it's somebody else. But
maybe Chock doesn't win.
but yeah, I mean, all roads point to Chock right now.
So there's a little preview into Joan's big decision, but first, men tell all. And it's the big episode where all the men get back together. Woohoo, we get to see people again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always not been interested in these episodes. I think I don't think I even watched the Golden Bachelor one. I feel like I
didn't.
I skipped that one. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It's more just because I feel there's so much of it just a repeat. I mean, I guess you do get a little bit of background or behind the scenes.
Come on, we get to
what's
see
going
Charles
on,
and his new hair,
shoe polish, black hair
Yeah,
now. I mean, wow, that I don't know what happened there. That's a midlife crisis thing happening right there. Because I don't understand it. I don't know.
Did you know someone who got shoe polish hair?
I did, and I don't think it makes you look younger. I think just stick with the gray. I think the gray even looks better. One thing I was actually I don't know, for some reason it just caught my attention this time, but Pascal looks great for. I didn't realize he was 69.
Oh, me either. I thought he was like,
I thought he was
late
like
50s
60
or something.
Yeah, he looks great for his age. But anyway, I don't know. It's like that. Like I see him, and I mean, he almost looks like an older 50-year-old. But I mean, the gray hair kind of alludes to that. But
What if Pascal had shoe polish black hair?
yeah, if he did something like that, it would just look really bad. I think. Like just stick with the gray. Like just own the
It just
gray.
looks unnatural, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Would you get shoe polish black hair?
absolutely not. I would totally.
Yeah,
rock
but
the
your
gray.
hair. Yeah, I mean,
I'd become the silver fox, and I would absolutely own it.
Wow.
I feel like it's like you're just trying to not deny fighting age at that point. I mean, come on, it's gonna turn to gray eventually. Just embrace it.
Yeah, but you could pour some shoe polish on your head.
Absolutely not.
Well, I don't get why some people do it like drastically dark like that. Wouldn't you pick like a brunette color or like ease your way into like a darker color?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think like the shockingly like dark contrast of like the shoe polish black is just.
Well, it'd almost be interesting to compare like what he in a younger picture of him. Was his hair even that black to begin with, or is it just because that could be it too? At least pick maybe a natural color that you had as a younger lad.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's true.
I don't. Anyway, we're getting off topic. But Yeah, so they're all here, I guess. I mean, I guess I will say I'm a little bit more interested in this one because I think there was such camaraderie that it'll be nice to almost see them interact with each other again.
Yes.
Because I think
Come on, we're so looking forward to
they
it.
had a good time together. So
Yeah.
that part I'm looking forward to.
Well, we're excited to recap that. I think it'll be really nice to see the men back together again. And also, this ends with Joan confronting Pascal. Aren't you excited to see that on the Men Tell All episode
Yeah,
where Pascal comes back?
yeah. Well, I thought for a second, we watch. He'll come back like the next day and be like, "I was wrong. I need
Yeah.
you." Well, he could have almost done that. That could have like sealed the deal for him to win. She could have
Ooh.
realized how much he missed him.
After
Just
that,
like Chock's move, but like pull it off in the finale.
yeah, well, Chock actually had an important event to go to. Pascal said sayonara.
Yeah, but anyway, since they showed him in this episode, it really ended that. But
There's not a shot he was coming back.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to, I guess, see where they are now
Right.
or what's even happened. I don't know. Maybe secretly something happens and they're actually together now.
Oh, that's why she's confronting him on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they still have to stage it for the purpose of the ending of the season. But
Wow. You are just like big on Pascal somehow winning this. But that brings us right into predictions. Do-do-do-do-do. It's predictions time. All right.
Yeah.
So who do you think is first place?
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll have to say it's probably Chock.
Okay. You reluctantly say that, even though it's blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
That's my first place too. Chock.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm upset mine bailed on me.
Yeah.
But that's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
I thought
He's
he'd pull
gone.
around. All he had to do, if he'd pulled around, he would have had it. I think he totally would have beaten Chock.
He didn't feel that connection.
Yeah.
There wasn't that fiery spark.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at least it's better than him winning and then finding out they're already broken up.
Yeah, let's not do that again. And that leaves Guy in second place.
Or I don't know. Maybe I should go for guys. So,
Oh,
so
come
so
on.
I'm competing against you.
And okay, so let's say you went for Guy. What are your reasons behind it? For Guy to win this, what does he have to do?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, there's not much different. I mean, they're both going over the top, and there's really not much difference between them. I mean, it really is kind of, I think, just Joan's preference. I don't know what her preference is, but it's that. So, yeah. So I guess I don't know. There's not much. So yeah, I guess it's gonna be him. It'll probably be Chock. We'll stick with that.
Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of A Fine Podcast.
Yes, we hope you liked the episode. Let us know. Make a comment. And let us know how we're doing, what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. And we will be back next week to review
Men Tell All.
when the boys return, the men return,
The boys round here.
the Mansion Men.
That's right. We can't wait to see you next week.
We'll see you next week. We are the Mansion Men.
The Golden Season Mansion Men. Bye.
Yes. Ciao.